I was looking into essential oils the other day for my science channel, and I noticed the same name popping up every time. Young Living. Over and over. Every time I found a YouTube video to debunk, it was somebody endorsing this company. And it just so happens that a reasonably big YouTuber we all know and love, known as Genetically Modified Skeptic, has a personal stake in taking this company down. If you aren't subscribed to him, by the way, you should be. Really good dude. Go check out his channel, link is in the description. So here's the question, is Young Living a cult? Let's get into it. First, let's talk about their company's claims. They claim that essential oils can cure all kinds of stuff. Remember in 2014 when there was this massive Ebola scare? Ebola killed a lot of people, and it's a really terrible disease. But people in Africa were the most susceptible to it because they didn't have fantastic medical care. There were all of like 3 cases in the US. A really big problem with Ebola is dehydration. There's stuff coming out of both ends of your body at the same time. You're losing liquids fast. The best way to deal with Ebola is by ensuring the infected person stays hydrated. But in the area in Africa where all this was going down, clean water was kind of hard to come by. But don't worry, essential oils are here to help, and they can do what modern medicine can't. In September 2014, the FDA issued a warning letter to Young Living, telling them not to market their products as treatments for cures for Ebola. Here's an excerpt from the letter. This is to advise you that in August 2014, the FDA reviewed websites and social media accounts, example, Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest, for several Young Living essential oil consultants that your firm refers to as Young Living Distributors. The FDA also reviewed a 2012-2013 product guide found on your website. Based on our review, the Food and Drug Administration has determined that many of your Young Living essential oil products, such as, but not limited to, thieves, cinnamon bark, oregano, emu power, rosemary, myrtle, sandalwood, eucalyptus blue, peppermint, ylang ylang, frankincense, and orange are promoted for conditions that cause them to be drugs under Section 201G1B of the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act because they're intended for use in the diagnosis, cure, mitigation, treatment, or prevention of disease. The intended use of a product may be determined by, among other things, its labeling, advertising, and the circumstances surrounding its distribution. As described below, the marketing and distribution of your Young Living essential oil products without FDA-approved applications is in violation of the Act. So it's basically saying here that they're marketing their essential oils as cures for certain diseases. And the moment they claimed it can cure certain diseases, it fell under the FDA's jurisdiction, whether it can live up to those claims or not. Now that it falls under their jurisdiction, the FDA can put a stop to their production unless they stop making those claims. The letter goes on to say that the distributors market their products as cures for things such as Ebola, Parkinson's disease, autism, diabetes, hypertension, cancer, insomnia, heart disease, PTSD, dementia, and MS. Then they say that those diseases aren't self-diagnosable and shouldn't be treated by people who aren't medical practitioners. It's a pretty interesting read, surprisingly, so if you guys want to take a look at the letter, then you can find it in the description too. I just want to take a minute, just sit right there. I'll tell you how I became the prince of a town called Bel Air. Nah, I'm just kidding. I'll save that story for another time. I wanted to talk about the way their business is set up before we go any further. Now, I have to be very careful which words I use to describe their sales model because I could actually be sued if I use the wrong words. But if you were to chart out their sales force, it would have a triangle shape to it. Here's how it works. You link up with a distributor who sells the oils and the accessories like roll-on sticks, diffusers, that kind of thing, at a discounted rate. Then you take that and sell it to others. Every time you buy more stuff from the distributor, they make money because they're getting it at a discounted rate. The more stuff you buy, the more the distributor makes, until you can become a distributor yourself and buy it in bulk. Then you have people coming to you to buy stuff at a discounted rate. Every time they sell something, you get a small cut. So if you have, say, 5 friends, and each sell stuff to 5 of their friends, now you're making a ton of money from it. It sounds good in practice, but there's always somebody on the bottom level who's spending a ton of money on starter kits or diffusers or other worthless junk. Don't be that bottom guy. It's called multi-level marketing, and in a system like that, there's always somebody at the bottom shelling out money and getting nowhere. I'm looking at a distributor's website right now, and she pitches it like it's the perfect system. No employees, no selling, no inventory, no shipping, be your own boss, work at your own pace, all that junk. At best, that's spin. At worst, it's outright lies. I'm sure you guys have heard of Mary Kay. The business model is set up in a similar way to Mary Kay's business model. They have different levels of distributors. If you sell a certain amount of product, then you get this or that prize, like a pink Mary Kay car. In reality, they can afford to offer that as a prize in the first place because they give so few of those things out. Have you ever seen a pink Mary Kay car on the road? I think I've seen one or two. If it was really such a great deal, where everybody wins, you'd see them all over the damn place. And not only are you buying into a triangle-shaped sales force, you're also peddling a product that does real, actual harm to people's lives by claiming to do things it can't actually do. As I was saying, they have different distributor levels in Young Living. You've got Star, Senior Star, Executive, Silver, Gold, Platinum, Diamond, Crown Diamond, and Royal Crown Diamond. Each level is reached by selling a certain amount of product. So Star is 100 PV or 500 OGV. PV stands for personal volume, and it's basically like reward points. It's roughly 1 PV for each US dollar spent. But the PV value is the same around the world because it's based on how much product you order. So if you're ordering in a currency other than US dollars, it'll obviously diverge from the 1-to-1 ratio. OGV stands for Organization Group Volume, which means if you get a bunch of resellers to give you like $100 each, you can order product at a discounted rate. If you do that, you have to sell $500 worth instead of just 100 to be Star level. Although there's a pipe here between the 100 PV and the 500 OGV, so actually I think you might have to order $500 for your group and an additional 100 worth for yourself. That means any profit you make from the group is probably canceled out by the 100 you have to spend on product to reach Star level. To be Senior Star, you have to get 100 PV or about $100 worth of personal product and $2,000 for the group rate. Executive is 100 PV and 4,000 OGV, and Silver is 100 PV, 10,000 OGV, and Silver is 100 PV, 10,000 OGV, and 1,000 PGV, which is a personal group volume. Not only that, but you apparently also have to sell 2 legs of 4,000 OGV each? I don't know what a leg is. I tried finding it, but it's a complete mess. This process is overly complicated and designed to make people think you can make more money quicker and easier than you actually can. The next level is Gold, and for that you have to sell 100 PV, 35,000 OGV, 1,000 PGV, and 3 legs of 6,000 OGV each. Oh, wait a minute. I think I get it now. Legs, like legs of a triangle. You have to sell $6,000 worth of product to 3 different groups. Wow, they even describe it as a triangle-like structure on their own website. Amazing. Anyways, long story short, it goes all the way up to Royal Crown Diamond, which is 100 PV, 1.5 million OGV, 1,000 PGV, and 6 legs of 35,000 OGV each. Aside from the supernatural belief in the oils, the employees have an almost supernatural view of the company. The New Yorker interviewed a diamond-level distributor, which at that point is pretty much at the top of the triangle. Here's what they said. Young Living is freedom, spiritual freedom, relationship freedom, incredible financial freedom, a diamond-level distributor said at a Young Living panel. Diamond-level distributors earn a median monthly income of $32,000. She told the audience that she had built her oils business while working up to 60 hours a week as a television anchor and homeschooling her special needs child. There's nothing holding you back but yourself. We all have the same oils. We all have the same 24 hours in the day. The only ones that don't make it to diamond are the ones that give up. Anybody in this room can do it. Now that's interesting. So I looked up what they make, and the numbers I found from a distributor's website said that Silver makes $25,000 per year, but the New Yorker turned up $32,000 per year for diamond level. If that's true, that would mean that Silver level probably makes almost nothing. But yeah, that sounds like propaganda if I've ever seen it. Here's another quote from the New Yorker. On another panel, the featured speaker was a tan woman in a white dress and strappy gold sandals. As a Royal Crown Diamond, I work only 4 hours a day. I have a personal chef. My chef is right here, she said, pointing into the audience. And I am so blessed. That's what happens when you get to this level. You get blessed with these things. When I wake up, I don't look at the internet. I go outside. I swim every day. I didn't always have that luxury. But as you advance, you get to treat yourself. Remember, at this point, you have to basically be at the very top of the triangle. The website lists a single current Royal Crown diamond in the entire company. No crown diamonds. And there are 2 sets of diamonds listed. Apparently 3 people working together in one party, and 3 working in another party, I think. It's kind of hard to tell because of how they listed the names. Anyways, the point is, it's absolutely impossible for everybody in the company to be at even the silver level, which is where you start making even a little bit of money. Somebody is going to be on the bottom. So let's talk about the company's questionable history and their history of questionable employees and decisions. They were founded in 1992 by Donald Gary Young, born July 11th, 1949. He opened a quote-unquote health clinic in Washington in 1982, 10 years before his company was really born. That'll be important in a minute. For now, let's talk about his personal history. He says he grew up in a cabin in Idaho with a dirt floor and no running water. His highest level of verified education is his graduation from high school in 1967. When he was 24, he was working as a logger and a tree fell on him and caused a number of injuries, including but not limited to a ruptured spinal cord. He went into a coma. When he woke up, doctors told him he'd never walk again. Here's where the story kind of forks. The cure varies from story to story across different sources, but he says after 2 suicide attempts, he decided to drink nothing but water and lemon juice, and after 253 days, he could walk again. In 1982, he and his wife at the time tried to deliver a child in a whirlpool bath in their aforementioned Washington Health Clinic. Their daughter died after spending an hour underwater. No charges were brought against them, but the coroner said he believed she would have lived if she had been delivered in a more conventional way. In 1983, Young was arrested for practicing medicine without a license. Here's what the court document said. Unlawful practice of medicine committed as follows. The defendant, Donald Gary Young, in Spokane County, Washington, on or about February 24th, 1983, then and there being, did then and there offer to undertake to diagnose, advise, or prescribe for a human physical condition, or offer to penetrate the tissue of another human being by means as follows. Offering to deliver a baby of another person, by offering to treat another person for cancer and to detect the presence of cancer in another by means of a blood sample, which he would draw by a blood test, which he would interpret, and by offering to determine the nutritional needs of another person during pregnancy by drawing blood and interpreting the results of a blood test. The defendant at such time not having a valid, unrevoked license to practice medicine. Weird descriptions. I can only imagine it was a weird situation. Here's how those court documents came to be. Around 1988, in his California clinic, an undercover agent submitted a sample of her blood with a fictitious male name for a blood crystallization test, also known as a live blood cell analysis. Young told her that she had prostate cancer with cells that could act in a potentially aggressive manner. Now, for those of you who don't know, women don't have prostates. That is fantastic. I'm so glad to hear that they actually had undercover agents working on this case. Hopefully they still do, because obviously this dude is obsessed with peddling his brand of pseudoscience on people at the expense of their lives. In 2000, he opened the Young Life Research Clinic in Springville, Utah. And of course, what else would you expect? He treated everything from anxiety to cancer with alternative therapies like essential oils. The clinic had some very questionable doctors on staff, one of which was a pediatrician named Sherman Johnson. He had just had his medical license reinstated after having lost it because a woman told him she'd been injected with cancer by gay doctors and witches. He treated her quote-unquote cancer, which killed her since the only illness she actually had was multiple personality disorder. Actually, there's speculation in the psychology community that multiple personality disorder might not even be real. I'm still not personally convinced, but at any rate, the woman had something deeply wrong with her and he killed her. He faced manslaughter charges and up to 15 years in prison over it. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't think redemption is impossible. They saw fit to reinstate his medical license. He has to work. But the fact that Young Living hired him should show that they're looking for people who are willing to break free from medical ethics and standards to conform to what they felt was right, not what science says is right. In fact, they're pretty open about the fact that they distrust traditional medical treatment and practices. They think essential oils can cure cancer after all. In 2005, a Young Life Clinic patient sued them for an overdose of vitamin C. The woman almost died from kidney failure as a result of the overdose. They closed the clinic and opened a new one in Ecuador. A ton of famous people have endorsed essential oils, from Alex Jones to Gwyneth Paltrow, claiming they have some kind of special healing effect. There will always be a charlatan out there trying to take advantage of people. You find that kind of thing in religion all the time. They're looking for a way to take advantage of people in a vulnerable emotional state. But Young Living goes a step beyond a simple multi-level marketing setup like Mary Kay. They're actually making real supernatural claims about their products. They're actually killing people. At least Mary Kay is just leaving them destitute. So here's the question. Is it a cult? In situations like this, I'd compare it to the BITE model, the model created by Stephen Hassan to determine if something is a cult or not. I don't have time to go through the whole thing, so let me just highlight the points I think it hits. They promote dependence and obedience to a high degree by pushing you to buy their products and cure all your illnesses with essential oils. They modify behavior with rewards and punishments to a lesser degree. They have this whole rewards setup, silver, gold, diamond, on and on. They definitely regulate what and how much you eat and drink. They exploit you financially. They instill black and white, us versus them, good versus evil thinking by telling you that modern medicine is out to get you and essential oils are the only way. They change your identity to a small degree by turning you into the salesman they want you to be and by making you heavily rely on essential oils for every part of your life. They definitely use loaded language and cliches to stop complex thought to a lesser degree. They teach thought-stopping techniques to prevent critical thought to a lesser degree. They reject rational analysis, critical thinking, and doubt. They deliberately withhold and distort information. They divide information into insider versus outsider doctrine, especially by vilifying modern medicine. They generate and use propaganda by lying about what their essential oils can do for you. They instill irrational fears or phobias of questioning or leaving by telling you that essential oils are the best cure for ailments and modern medicine is trying to poison you. You especially see this a lot with people like Alex Jones, telling you the government is spraying chemicals in the air, and even putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay. Young Living has that same kind of culture. They shower you with praise and attention, called love bombing. It is a high-pressure sales force after all, much like Mormon missionaries. They shun you if you disobey or disbelieve, but I don't think that's really an operation of the company. I think it's more a part of the culture. Either way, it happens, and that counts. And they definitely teach that there's no happiness or peace to be had outside the group. Overall, looking at the company from the outside, I'd say it's a cult-like mentality, but I don't think I'd call it a cult. I think the leaders inspire fanaticism in the sales force, and they even promote supernatural beliefs about their product. But I'm not going to call it a cult right now. I'm willing to be convinced otherwise, but taking the BITE model into consideration, I'm just going to call it a cult-like mindset, which is just as bad in many ways. Another honorable mention for a cult-like mindset would be the flat earth philosophy, if you could call it that. Anyways, that's all I've got for you. Check out my video on essential oils on my science channel. It just released 2 days ago. Also, check out my podcast where I read Jehovah's Witness literature and talk about current events and things. Pretty interesting stuff. Don't forget to follow me on Patreon and all social media, and check out the secret link of the day. Thanks for watching, guys.